Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook. For those that are new around here, the name's Rainey. I'm an elementary music teacher by day, and I read books by night. I read primarily thriller, but I'm all about other genres like fantasy, romance, nonfiction, I don't know, historical, like all the things. So if you're here for that, click subscribe, and we be good. All right, so for those of you that have been following me around for a while, you know that my birthday was a couple weeks ago. It was July 12th, and I'm finally in my last year of my 20s, which is sad, and it freaks me out sometimes when I think about it, but you know what? It's okay. Anyway, I thought it would be fun. I know a lot of people do this, to talk about 30 books that I want to read before I turn 30 next year. However, my list is 33. And yes, I know, you're like, Rainey, that is not 30. You could surely narrow it to 30. No, when you see the books that I picked, you'll see why I couldn't pick it and narrow it down to 30. And technically it's because 2 of them are series and I included the whole series. But if you're going to include the whole series, you have to count each one as a book, you know? So like, it is what it is. But I'm excited to share them with you. I'm going to categorize them into 3 categories: classics, series, and standalones. And that's how we're going to do it. And so I'm just going to get started talking about all of the different books that I want to read before I'm 30. And if you have any others that you want to recommend, we'll talk about that after. Okay, so we're going to start off with classics, and I have a very weird relationship with classics because for some reason when I was in like middle and high, that was all I wanted to read. Like, you know, we had the assigned reading and stuff, but like I would only read that as well. So I've read a ton of classic books already in my life. It's funny though, because I haven't read some of the most popular ones, which is just really funny. So I have at least 5 on here, and there's probably at least 3 that you're going to be like, you haven't read that. And you're right, I haven't. So we're gonna rectify that, you know? The first one is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. No, I have not read any Jane Austen novels yet. I don't know why. I wasn't ever required to. Like, I don't know how that slipped through the cracks, but I haven't read any Jane Austen. So I plan on reading Pride and Prejudice. I am not going to explain what these classic books are about because you should probably know by now, and if you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. But I really want to read Pride and Prejudice. I also really want to read Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, absolutely loved it. I love Frankenstein retellings and stuff. I love Dracula retellings, like I love vampires, but I haven't read Dracula yet. And so I'm very excited to get to read it. I did have a Frankenstein Dracula book somewhere, and I don't know where it went. I think my sister borrowed it without asking, and I'll just have to check and see if she has it. But I'm very excited to read Dracula. I feel like that is just a classic that you have to read at some point in your life, and so I'm definitely going to get to it. I also want to read, and this one may hurt a little bit because I know how beloved this is by people, Little Women. I know. I think I started to read it, and then I stopped, and I just never finished it. I know what happens in it. I've seen, like, movies of it. It's fantastic. I still want to read the book. I know the book is better. So, like, I know, okay? I'm gonna fix this issue. So don't worry. I'll read it. And I'm very excited to get to it. Then we have A Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know very much about this one. I know like it is a beloved one, but I know also, I think Gabby read it recently and didn't really enjoy it. I'm not entirely 100% sure what it is about, but I don't know. This one was just kind of speaking to me, so I figured I'd add it to this list. I do know it's a popular classic, and I feel like I would very much enjoy it. So we're going to keep it on this list for now because I am interested in getting to it. And this last one I actually have a copy of, and it is not technically a classic. However, I think you would still call it a classic. And that is And Then There Were None by the OG Agatha Christie. Now, I will say, I already know who the murderer is in this, and I'm very sad that I already know because stupid Peter Swanson and his frickin' 9 lives ruined my life forever this year. But I digress. I'm very excited. She is like the OG of like the isolated island, like isolated setting. Everybody's on this island. There's 10 people. They're getting murdered one by one. You got to find out who the murderer is. Like, she's the creator, okay? She the OG. She the bestie. So, I'd like to see how she does it. I have heard her writing is a little weird, just the way that she writes. I mean, she started writing like what, in the 30s or something? But I'm still very excited to see what this is about and get to it. I feel like if I'm going to start anywhere with Miss Christie, I gotta start with this one. You feel me? All right, next we are going to move on to the series on my list. Some of them are only book 1 or book 3, like whatever book I'm on, if I didn't want to like say I want to read the whole series by 30, and some are the whole series. The first one on here, only book 1 is out right now. I know book 2 is coming out at some point, so that's why I only put book 1 for now, and that is The Atlas Sick by Olivia Blake. I know everybody and their mother has read this at this point. Honestly, I really love this cover, and I love like the whole like new edition of it. I didn't really like the old one as much as I like this. So I'm very excited to read this. I know that this one is like, Each decade, only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to earn a place in the Alexandrian Society, the most secret society in the world. They'll secure a life of power and prestige beyond their wildest dreams, but at what cost? Each of them has their reason for accepting the exclusive invitation, even if it means growing closer than they could have imagined to their most dangerous enemies or risking unforgivable betrayal from their most trusted allies. They'll fight tooth and nail for the right to join, even if it means they won't all survive the year. So, yeah. Super excited for this. I need to get through it at some point. The new edition has like this very pretty like drawings and stuff. So I don't know. I want to get to this soon. And we have one that I was supposed to read in March and I've been putting off and putting off and putting off for a million years because I just don't want to finish this series. I don't want to. I know my heart is going to hurt. I know a lot of people are going to die and I'm just not mentally prepared for that. And that's Jade Legacy by Miss Fonda Lee. I read Jade City and Jade War in January and February with Mel Reed. She did like a Green Bone Saga read along and I absolutely loved it. However, when we got to this one, the books get longer and longer. Like this one is like 700 pages, friends. Okay. It's like a hefty book. And I've just heard that this one is one of the best endings to any trilogy ever, but that's also very heartbreaking because Miss Fonda doesn't care if she kills off people that you hold near and dear to your heart. And you know, sometimes I just don't know if I'm ready for that, even though I am, because her writing is fantastic and this is definitely my favorite fantasy series. I just need to do the dang deed already. And we have one that I believe there are 2 books in the series so far. The third one's coming out at some point. I only put the first one on my list for now because I have really been wanting to read this for a while, and this will hopefully motivate me to do so. And that is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I know that Meg Reed absolutely loved this. I think Katie Coulson did. A lot of my favorite booktubers likes this. But this one says, in a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet weekly in the Jigsaw room to discuss unsolved crimes. Together, they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club. When a local developer is found dead with a mysterious photograph left next to his body, the friends suddenly find themselves in the middle of their first live case. They might be senior citizens, but they are cleverer than most. As the bodies begin to pile up, can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? This just sounds like such a fun time. A bunch of old people sitting around solving a real-life mystery. It kind of reminds me of Only Murders in the Building, which that show is gold. Then up next we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Miss Holly Jackson. I do want to read the whole series, but I'm just going to commit myself to book 1 for now because I'm not sure if I'm going to love it because I'm not really a YA girly, even though I have literally a whole shelf of YA and I keep buying YA. And I'm going to read that all eventually. Like, I'm going to get to it, you know. But anyway, I figure everyone loves this, even if they're not a big YA person, and I figure I need to figure out for myself, you know? And I know this one is about high school senior Andy Bell murdered by her boyfriend Sal, who killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about. 5 years later, Pip sees how that tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, she decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project, at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might prove him innocent, and the line between past and present begin to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. Oh no, this sounds so fun. Like, I'm just ready for like a young YA like mystery read. Then we have a book that I used to have, but I sold on Pachinko because I didn't want the paperback copies. I wanted the hardback editions, and so I'm just going to have to post a picture of it up here, and that is the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. I don't have a description in front of me, so I'm not going to be able to give you one, but I know that I've been wanting to read this for a hot minute. I know everyone talks about this book, and that is such a beloved series. I figure I need to figure that out for myself, so I'm definitely going to be reading the Poppy War, and if I love it, which I'm sure I will, then I will continue on to the Burning Gods and the Burning City. Is that the last one? I can't remember. It's burning something. All right, now we're getting to the part of the series where I'm going to be putting the whole series on this list. And so the next 3, I only have the first 2 books in the series, but I plan on reading the whole series by the time I turn 30. And that is the Ravenhood Trilogy by Kate Stewart, which consists of Flock, Exodus, and The Finish Line. Everyone and their mother says you need to read the Ravenhood series, the trilogy, and that's going to break you. And I just don't understand why. And I feel like it's a very mixed bag because the people that love it, and the people that don't, like, they don't like it. And so I need to know for myself which majority I'm going to be in. Although I have a feeling already I know which one I'm going to be in. And so, like, we'll just see. But this one says, like, I grew up sick. I grew up believing that real love stories include a martyr or demand great sacrifice to be worthy. Because of that, I believed it. I made myself believe it, and I bred the most masochistic of romantic hearts, which resulted in my illness. When I lived this story in my own twisted fairy tale, it was unbeknownst to me at the time because I was young and naive. I grew into temptation and fed the beating beast. Triple Falls wasn't at all what it seemed, nor were the men that swept me under their wing, but in order to keep them, I had to be in on their secrets. Secrets that cost us everything to keep. That's the novelty of fiction versus reality. You can't relive your own love story because by the time you've realized you're living it, it's over. At least that was the case for me and the man I trusted my foolish heart to. Looking back, I'm convinced I willed my story into existence due to my illness, and all were punished. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds good. I've heard it's so sad. I don't even know. But you know what? I'm going to be that girly, and we're going to read the Ravenhood series this year. The next one, I am really ashamed to say I haven't read yet. Like, extremely ashamed. And you'll understand why in about 0.2 seconds. Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Hence, you understand why I'm so, like, you know, upset. I have loved the movies. I love the movies. I love them so much. I definitely will maybe I'll do a Jurassic Park, like, ooh, that could be awesome. I could do a Jurassic Park reading blog and then also watch all the movies. Okay, that's happening. Like, we already know that because I have a ranking. Like, the system for the 6 movies, like, you better believe I have a ranking. And I have seen the new movie, the one that just came out, twice already. Might go for a third. Who knows? Okay, anyway. I'm obsessed, and I know I need to read these, okay? I know it. I know that they're great. I know that they're gold. My mom says they're even better in the movies, which if they are, then like, holy friggin' cow, because Jurassic Park is just literally the best thing ever. I don't know. I'm excited to go on this reading journey. I feel like I'm also just like scared to, because once I do this, I know it's over. Like, there's nothing else I'm gonna get with this Jurassic Park like franchise, because although there is Camp Cretaceous, which is their cartoon Jurassic Park show, which if you have not seen that, are you living under a rock? Go watch it. It's golden. I'm waiting for the new season to come out. But yeah, I don't know. I just really want to read these, so I guess it's time to do so. Then we're just going to get to standalones. I'm just going to grab them as I see them. I'm going to go through these super quick so that we're not here for 5 million years. And here we go. In no particular order at all. Up first is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I feel like I need to read this. Like, this is just one of those books that, like, it's not a classic, but it kind of is. Like, everybody should read it. You know? You know. I know that this one is, like, about a girl that the Midnight Library lets her live if she's done things differently. Like, each book contains a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew as well as many people she never met. And I know that this one is severely depressing because, like, she, like, has trigger warnings for, like, suicide and, like, depressive thoughts and, like, all this other stuff. But I've also heard that it is just so fantastic. And it's one of those books that, like, you have to read, you know? Definitely want to get to this before I'm 30. Up next is one that is not really talked about by a lot of people, but like when Books with Brittany mentioned it, and then I bought it and I looked it up, I can just tell that this is going to wreck me. And she compared it to like A Little Life, so that's saying something. And that is Betty, a novel by Tiffany McDaniel. And so this one is about Betty Carpenter, born in a bathtub in 1954 to a white mother and a Cherokee father. She's the 6th of 8 siblings. The world they inhabit in Breathed, Ohio, is one of poverty and violence, both from outside the family and from within. The landscape, rich with birdsong, wild fruit, and blazing stars, became a refuge for her, but when her family's darkest secrets are brought to light, she has no choice but to reckon with the brutal history hiding in the hills, as well as with the heart-wrenching cruelties and incredible characters she encounters. Despite the hardships she faces, she's resilient. Her curiosity about the world, love for her sisters, and her father's stories are kindling for the fire of her own imagination and in the face of all to which she wears witness. She discovers an escape, starts to write, recounts the horrors of her family's past and present with pen and paper, and buries them in the dirt. Moments that have stung her so deeply, she could not tell them until now. I don't know. This one's just speaking to me. It's almost 500 pages. I just feel like it's going to be a very, very tragic and beautiful story, and we'll see. And because she compared it to A Little Life, it makes sense that A Little Life is also on this list. I tried to start reading this a couple months ago, and I got 20 pages in, and I couldn't commit to it at the time. I feel like this is a book, like, you just have to commit to. Like, if you're gonna read it, you have to commit to it, because one, it's almost 800 pages long, and two, it's extremely sad, and I've heard it described as torture porn, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. I will say, not a lot of things trigger me. It's just, do you want to read that? Like, do you want to read, like, terribly sad stuff happening over and over to this dude? Like, torture-y stuff. Like, I don't know, you know? So, like, you have to be in a place where you can handle that. And I might be there before I'm 30, hopefully. Up next, this one was mentioned by Noelle Gallagher, and I don't know, it's just speaking to me. It's, like, kind of classic, kind of not, because it's like Hamlet, but it's not. And that's Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. And so, like, I believe this one is, like, kind of like a Hamlet, like, retelling-esque. Like, I could be totally wrong in that description. I don't know. It says, England, 1580, the Black Death creeps across the land, an ominous threat infecting the healthy, the sick, the old, and the young alike. The end of days is near, but life goes on. A young Latin tutor, penniless and bullied by a violent father, falls in love with an extraordinary, eccentric young woman. Agnes is a wild creature who walks through her family's land with a falcon on her glove and is known throughout the countryside for her unusual gifts as a healer, understanding plants and potions better than she does people. Once she settles with her husband on Henley Street in Avon, she becomes a fiercely protective mother and a steadfast, centrifugal force in the life of her young husband, whose career on the London stage is just taking off when his young beloved son succumbs to sudden fever. I think this is actually about Shakespeare. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just like interesting to me. So we're going to give it a whirl. All right, up next is one that I got a while ago from Book of the Month. And this one I just know is going to be super sad and emotional, but I really want to read it. And that is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This one obviously is a chunker. Like, we can see that. And I know that it follows a Korean family through the generations beginning in the early 1900s Korea. So yeah, it's just a sweeping saga of exceptional people in exile from a homeland they never knew and caught in the indifferent arc of history. So I love that it's a generational Korean tale. I'm sure it is going to be beautiful. And so I'm ready for it. Next one is very morbid. I don't know. I still want to read it, and I'm going to be reading it soon, so it's on this list. And that is Survivor by J.F. Gonzalez. Yeah, I know. I'm not really an extreme horror girly. However, Haley Hughes is my favorite person, one of my favorite booktubers, and it's like her favorite book, Kay's favorite book, and so I have to read it. I just know that it's about this girl that her husband gets arrested as they're going on vacation, and while she's waiting for him, she gets kidnapped and is like gonna be in this snuff porn where basically she's gonna get murdered and tortured live on TV, and so it's like her escape. And I've heard that there are some pretty intense trigger warnings, especially something with a baby. And so I might have to skip that part because I really can't read shit like that. So we'll see. I'm committing to reading It by Stephen King. This book is a clunker. This book is... It does not say how many pages it is, unless this is like a sneak peek to another book. No, it's the epilogue. Oh, okay. It's 1,157 pages. Woo! Frick yeah! Maybe I'll do this where I read this in a month. I don't even know, fans. Like, this is insane. I really want to read this. I also want to watch the old movie and the new movies. Now, I say that, but I don't think I should. Because I watched Scream in January, and I still have nightmares about that. Like, and we're in July, folks. So, like, I don't think that's a good idea. In fact, tell me in the comments down below not to do that. Because I don't think that's a good idea. And I shouldn't. But I do want to read this. Then we have a book that I've been seeing it around a lot more recently, and everybody says how beautiful of a story this is, but also like how sad it is, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I know that I believe this one is about a girl that has a relationship with her much older teacher, and like 17 years later something happened, so I know it's going between her present and her past, and I've just heard that it's extremely beautiful, and I really just want to make sure that I get to it because I don't know, like the cover alone is beautiful. Like, I just think this is going to be a fantastic read, and it'll probably sit with me for a while. And we have a giant fantasy that I picked up forever ago because it just spoke to me, and I've seen it everywhere, but I've actually heard it's not that great, so I don't know if I want to read it, but since I bought it, I figure I should. It's 800 pages long, and that's The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So I'm not even sure what this one is about. It says, the House of Berethnet has ruled Innis for 1,000 years. Still unwed, Queen Sabrin IX must conceive a daughter to protect her realm from destruction, but assassins are getting closer to her door. Dorian is an outsider at court. Though she has risen to the position of lady-in-waiting, she is loyal to a hidden society of mages. Keeps a watchful eye on Sabran, secretly protecting her with forbidden magic. Across the Dark Sea, Tanae has trained to be a dragon rider since she was a child, but is forced to make a choice that could see her life unravel. Meanwhile, the divided East and West refuse to parley, and forces of chaos are rising from their sleep. I feel like that didn't explain anything. I know that it's about dragons. There's a sapphic romance in this, and so I'm gonna try to be about it. Then the next book, I saw this on Noelle Gallagher's account, and then I saw it on a couple of other people's account, and every time I see this cover, I'm just like, I have to have it. And so when I saw it on Pango a couple weeks ago, I bought it. I'm ready to read it, and that is Nightbitch by Rachel Yoder. I don't know. This cover just like really speaks to me. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It just does. And I know that this one is about a mom who is like having postpartum depression and freaking out, and then all of a sudden like starts thinking she's turning into a dog. And so like, it's like a horror-y, weird, like scary thing. I don't know. I just know I'm going to read this one. Will I love it? I don't know, but I'm going to read it. Next, we have one that I've only heard Katie Colson talk about on her channel, and she only has talked about it a little bit. But when she mentioned it, I just always had it like on my mind, and then I got it a couple weeks ago at a thrift store, and so I'm going to put it on this list. And that is The First Day of Spring by Nancy Tucker. Like I said, I don't hear anybody talk about this, but it looks really good. I know it's about a girl named Chrissy, and when she was 8, she killed a boy, and she was, like, really excited about it. So yeah, but then 20 years later, she's living and hiding under a changed name, and she wants her daughterhood to have the childhood that she was denied. And so she starts getting threatened phone calls, and she fears that her past is catching up to her and that she's going to lose her child as a result. And I am so stoked for this. I don't know. Like I said, ever since I heard about it, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I'm definitely excited to have it on this list. Up next is another popular one that I have not read yet. I read her newest book, but I haven't read this one, and that is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I know, I'm behind in the times. I should have read this already. Also, my eye is extremely itchy. Like, I think I touched my pets and then forgot to wash my hands. And when I do that, I get an allergic reaction because I'm actually a little allergic to pets. Okay, but this one is about Louise, a single mom and secretary that's embarrassed when she discovers the man who sweet-talked and kissed her in the bar on a rare night out is her new boss. David and Adele, new to town and lonely, who invited Louise for coffee after they bumped into each other on the street. Adele is David's wife. From the outside, they look like a picture-perfect husband and wife. But why is he so controlling? Why is she so scared? As Louise is drawn further into David and Adele's orbit, she uncovers more puzzling questions. The only thing that is crystal clear is that something in this marriage is very wrong, but she can't guess how wrong or how far a person might go to protect their marriage's secrets. I know I'm the last person on earth to read this book. Okay, you don't have to tell me to read it. It's on the list. It's happening. All right, we're on the final 4, finally making progress. And the next one is Project Mary by Andy Weir. Or Project Hail Mary. A lot of people put this on their best books of 2021, including people that don't love sci-fi and fantasy. Like Chandler Anstey loved this. Gabby Reeds loved this. I think Books and Lala loved this. So I'm very excited. If everybody is loving this, I think maybe I'll love this. And so yeah, this one's like about Earth. Not Earth. It's about some spaceman. I think he's the sole survivor on a last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. I've heard that the writing is very exquisite and that it's very funny, and I'm just excited for that. So I definitely know I got to get to this year. This next one I've just seen around, and you know, like when a book just like interests you, but you just don't know why? This is one of those books, and that is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. I have her other book, Migrations, and I haven't read it yet. But this one, I do also love wolves, so that's probably why. In fact, this one says, Inti Flynn arrives in Scotland with her twin sister Addie to lead a team of biologists tasked with reintroducing 14 gray wolves into the remote highlands. Inti is not the woman she once was either, changed by the harm she's witnessed inflicted by humans on both the wild and another. Yet as the wolves surprise everyone by thriving, she begins to let her guard down, even opening herself up to the possibility of love. When a farmer is found dead, she knows where the town will lay blame. Unable to accept that her wolves could be responsible, she makes a reckless decision to protect them. But if the wolves didn't make the kill, who did? And what will she do when the man she's falling for seems to be the main suspect? So, like, it's a thriller with wolves. Like, how much more great can that be? Like, I don't really know. That's all you really had to do to sell the book on me. So, I'm stoked. All right, the next one I've put on my list like 3 different times and haven't read it yet. So, I'm committing it in this series. And that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I didn't put Circe on here because I wanted to make sure that I actually like her writing style first. And so I'm not going to explain what this one about. It's just about Achilles, you know, and Patroclus and like I think it's a male relationship. I'm not exactly sure. But, you know, everyone and their mother talks about this, so I feel like I got to get to it. Like, I don't want to be ashamed that I haven't read this yet, but like, I haven't read this yet. And then finally, we can't end without me finally reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm just excited because I want to know why people love this and why people hate this, because it is always like very like polarizing. So I know that this is about a girl named Adeline that meets like a dangerous stranger, makes a terrible mistake in 1714, and she realizes she can live forever, but that as soon as someone turns away from her, they forget her completely, except for the one time where one person doesn't. And so I'm just interested in seeing like what this is about. But like, I don't know. I've heard it's like great and it's not. So Miss Vicky Schwab, are you gonna disappoint me? I don't know, fam. I don't know. And that is the 33 books that I want to read before I turn 30. I believe it's 33. It might be 35. I don't know, but it's something like that. Let me know which of these I should get to sooner than later. Is there any that you're like, girl, this needs to be on your list? I mean, not that I'm going to add it to this list because like this video is this list, but like if you have other books that I should read that I should add to a list, I'm all about that. So let me know in the comments down below, what book should I start with? What book is missing? And with that, I will definitely catch you in another video super, super soon. Bye!